Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I am going to read aloud a book, and the title of the book is Bismillah Soup. It was written by Asma Hussein and illustrated by Aminah Khan. I bought this book in Citylight Bookshop in Kuantan. The book is published by Rukaya's Bookshelf, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and it was published in 2005. This is the inside title of the book, Bismillah Soup. Hassan woke up on a hot summer morning to the loud chirping of birds outside his bedroom window, but the grumbling of his stomach was even louder. He was hungry. "Come have some eggs, Hassan," called his mom from the kitchen. "And fill up, because there won't be much food for dinner. Arbo hasn't been home in a while and the electricity just came back this morning." Hassan's father worked in a faraway city. When he came back for a visit every few weeks, he would bring money and special treats. Since the electricity on their whole street had been out for a few days, a lot of their food became spoiled and had to be thrown away. Hassan looked at his worried mother and wondered how he could help. "Hassan, when you're done with breakfast, please go ask Sheikh Omar if he can spare some rice for dinner," said his mom. "I will, Huyo. And you know what else?" Hassan boasted. "We're going to have a huge feast tonight, inshallah." "How?" asked his mom. "You'll see," said Hassan. He crammed the eggs into his mouth and bolted out the door, running straight to the masjid to talk to the imam. Sheikh Omar was reading quietly on the striped green carpet when Hassan suddenly burst into the masjid, saying, "Sheikh Omar, I have a problem. I promised Huyo she'd have a huge feast tonight, but there isn't enough food in our house." "Well, I do have a sack of rice that I've been saving," said Sheikh Omar. "And we have some big cooking pots in the basement." "But that's not enough," complained Hassan. "I promised her a feast. Plain rice isn't a feast." "Don't worry, Hassan," said Sheikh Omar. "Say Bismillah, and I'm sure you'll think of something." Hassan sat down in a huff and thought, "How will I make a feast without any food? Bismillah." Suddenly, a big, clever smile spread across his face. Hassan ran to the Imam and said, "Sheikh Omar, start boiling a huge pot of water in the masjid kitchen. We're going to make Bismillah soup." "What's Bismillah soup?" asked Sheikh Omar. "No time to explain. Just trust me," Hassan shouted as he ran out the masjid door. Hassan hurried along towards the market and found the vendors setting up their fruits and vegetables. He greeted the first vendor and said, "I'm here to invite you to a huge feast that we're having tonight at the masjid. We're making something special that no one has tasted before. Bismillah soup." "I've never heard of Bismillah soup," said the vendor. "It's a special soup that is the tastiest soup in the entire world," Hassan explained. "Oh, in that case, I would love to come to the feast and try the tastiest soup in the world. Take these onions and potatoes. You simply can't make soup without lots of these," she said. Hassan carried the heavy basket back to Sheikh Omar just in time to see the water start boiling. Together they peeled and chopped the vegetables and threw them into the pot. Then Hassan flew out the door again, heading back to the market. He knew exactly where he needed to go next. Hassan arrived at his favorite spice shop and pushed the door open. "I've come to invite you to a huge feast at the masjid tonight," explained Hassan to the store owner. "Sheikh Omar and I are making Bismillah soup." "I've heard of all the soups in the world," the man said proudly, "but I've never heard of Bismillah soup." "It's the tastiest soup in the entire world," said Hassan. "Huh," snorted the man. "I'll have to taste it myself to believe it. Take my special spice mix and pour it into the soup. No soup is complete without it." Hassan thanked him, took the bag of spices and ran back to the masjid, grinning the entire way. "Sheikh Omar, pour this into the soup," shouted Hassan excitedly. As soon as Sheikh Omar poured the spice mixture into the soup, a wonderful smell began to fill the air. "We need to take a break to pray now, Hassan. Leave the soup to boil here and we'll come back to it soon," said Sheikh Omar. When they had finished praying, Sheikh Omar stood up and made an announcement. "Brothers and sisters, we will be having a community feast tonight. As a special dish, Hassan and I are making Bismillah soup." "What's Bismillah soup?" they all asked. "It's the tastiest soup in the entire world," said Hassan, smiling nervously. "But Sheikh Omar," whispered Hassan, "how will there be enough food for all of them and their families?" "Didn't we say Bismillah, Hassan?" Sheikh Omar explained confidently. "Don't worry, there will be blessings in the food and it'll be more than enough, insha'Allah." Hassan quickly headed out of the masjid again to visit the local farmer. After a long walk, he stood in front of the faded brick house and knocked 3 times. The old farmer opened the creaky door with a friendly smile. "I've come to invite you to a special feast tonight at the masjid," said Hassan. "We're making Bismillah soup." "What's Bismillah soup?" asked the farmer. "It's the tastiest soup in the entire world," replied Hassan. "A steaming bowl of soup is my favorite meal, especially since I don't have many teeth left," said the man with a hearty laugh. "Take this wheelbarrow and fill it up with my fresh corn. Make sure to add some to your soup. It always makes my soups delicious." Hassan was sweating as he pushed the heavy wheelbarrow all the way back to the masjid. "Who is going to be so surprised?" he thought, chuckling quietly to himself. After parking the wheelbarrow outside the masjid, Hassan entered and said, "Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Omar. Look what I brought from the farm." Hassan stopped mid-sentence and stared at the masjid's small kitchen with surprise. There were piles of food everywhere. "Sheikh Omar, where did all this food come from?" asked Hassan. Sheikh Omar laughed. "Ha ha ha. Didn't I tell you there would be blessings in the food?" he said. "The baker heard we were having a feast, so he brought his mouthful bread. He said we cannot have soup without it. Then the baker invited the pastry shop owner, so she brought this huge pile of sambus. Then the pastry shop owner invited the fruit vendors from the market, and they brought this mound of bananas. And then the butcher was invited by the fruit vendors, so he brought 7 plump chickens to put into the soup." By the time Sheikh Omar was finished explaining, he was almost out of breath. Chicken, exclaimed Hassan. So that's why the soup smells even better than before. His mouth watered as he shucked the corn, sliced the kernels off the cob, and put some into the bubbling soup. I'm so hungry, he thought. Before the sun set, Hassan quickly walked back to his house. His legs were starting to ache from all the walking he had done. Huyo, hurry up and get Safia ready. We are having a feast at the masjid right after Maghrib like I promised, called Hassan from the doorway. Hassan's mom smiled and said, Hassan, I know you wanted to give me a huge feast, but I won't be disappointed if you couldn't prepare one. I'll just eat some rice and say Alhamdulillah. Okay, whatever you say, Huyo, said Hassan with a secretive smile on his face. As they approached the masjid, Hassan and his mother saw a large crowd of people. Something smells good, said his mom. I wonder what's going on at the masjid today. You'll see, said Hassan. As they entered the masjid, they saw heaping plates of food everywhere, even more food than before. I promised to make you a feast, Huyo, said Hassan, and I had to keep my promise. Hassan's mom was stunned. But Hassan, where did all this food come from? She asked. It all started with just one Bismillah. After they prayed Maghrib, everyone sat down to enjoy the delicious meal. Don't forget to try the Bismillah soup, yelled Hassan. It's the tastiest soup in the world. As they slurped up the final drops of delicious soup, Hassan's mother turned to him and said, I'm so proud of you, Hassan. You're not just a boy anymore. You're a responsible man of the house now. Hey, what about me? Asked a familiar voice from behind them. Abu, you're home, shouted Hassan. I brought you lots of your favorite sweets. I know you love them, said Hassan's dad. Hassan touched his full stomach and said, No sweets for me tonight. Maybe tomorrow, inshallah. Let's head home, said Hassan's mom. You've had a long day, Hassan, and it's past Safia's bedtime. After they said their final goodbyes to Sheikh Omar and all the guests, they walked home together under the light of a full moon. And that is Hassan and his family. As they were walking home, Hassan was telling the story to his father. And at the end of the book, there is a glossary with a little hadith. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, If only you relied on Allah, a true reliance, He would provide sustenance for you just as He does the birds. They fly out in the morning empty and return in the afternoon with full stomachs. So there are glossary of terms, and this is for the non-Muslims, I guess, for them to understand what it means. So, Huyo, the Somali word for mother, Abu, the Somali word for father, Masjid, Imam, Shaykh, Sambus, the type of savory fried pastry. And that is the story. I hope you enjoy it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.